Welcome back to the Hubbard's Handmade Shop here in Salem, Oregon. This is Ryan Hubbard. I started out flattening this ash slab in the old router flattening jig. Man, does that get old fast. I wish there was a better way. I was lucky enough to pick up this Supermax 1938 drum sander on Craigslist at about half the price. After getting both sides flat with the drum sander, I took care of the live edges with this flap disc like I've done in the past. It's quick and effective and it does a really good job. It makes quite a mess. Then I set up a straight edge and took care of both ends with my circular saw. I clamped the board in my vise and did some more sanding on the edges just to get them as smooth as possible. Before I did any hand sanding on the surfaces, I turned the board over to what was going to be the bottom and covered some of these holes so that I could mix and pour epoxy. There were just a few cracks, so just a layer or two of packing tape took care of it. I've learned on bigger cracks to use foil tape or reinforced tape so that the epoxy doesn't pour out the edges. As you can see, I didn't need a whole lot, so I just mixed up 1 ounce of epoxy to start with. Then with the popsicle stick I used to mix it, I started filling those cracks. I started with a lot of bubbles, so I went over it right away with the heat gun on the low setting to pop those bubbles. Then I came back every 5 or 10 minutes for about 30 minutes to pop all those bubbles, and in the end it actually came out very clear. I didn't have any bubbles trapped in the epoxy. After I let it harden for a couple days, I came back and tried to knock down those high areas of epoxy with a hand plane. This didn't work very well, so I actually came back later and knocked down most of that with a card scraper. That was much more effective. And now to spare you even more sanding, here is a little bit of the Oregon coast from a recent trip. In my opinion, finishing has to be my favorite part. You really get that reward of being able to see the grain pop, the wood come to life, and all of your hard work pay off. I'm using General Finish's Armor Seal in satin finish, and it really helps the contrasting grain of the ash pop. I got these metal legs off of Amazon, and there will be a link down in the description. They are very well put together and they came powder coated, so I don't have to worry about doing any finish sealing on them. I'm using a self-centering bit to drill those holes, and I'm driving the bolts in, not all the way. I did hand tighten them, but as you can see I had to use a couple of washers because the bolts that came with the kit were just a little bit too long for the thickness of this slab. This turned out to be a really simple project, but I wanted to keep it simple just to accentuate the beautiful grain of this piece of wood. It's very unique, and the metal legs don't take anything away from the wood. I think they just help you see the beauty in this beautiful ash slab, and I think it's going to be a very nice furniture piece. After getting final inspection and approval from the boss here, we are good to go. Thank you so much for coming and watching another one of my videos here in the Hubbard Handmade Shop. Please hit that like button and do subscribe. I'm getting more videos done and I have more projects coming in the future. Thanks a lot and take care. We'll see you next time.